When I record podcasts, I like to stay hydrated. Who knew talking could be so hard? My favourite drink to have to hand is Lifeline's Hydro OG. It's a tried and tested product for me. It helped me and my team complete a 24-hour podcast, giving us the edge that we needed to get over the finish line. So whether you're at the gym, on a bike ride, or just trying to get over that night before, Lifeline's Hydro OG has got your back. Each serving is stocked with all the healthy ingredients and vitamins you could ask for. There are a great range of flavours, and with each serving at only 18 calories, you really can't go wrong. Here at the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast, we like to support local, independent companies and brands, and Lifelines is a product that I am proud to endorse. Go to lifelines.com. Now that's LYFELINEZ.com to find out more. Now, without further ado, here is today's episode. Oh, yeah, we've got to do that, haven't we? Technology and things. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley, and you're listening to the only, so by default, probably the best podcast about Shrewsbury in the whole world. And you made a good choice today. Thank you. Today, I'm joined by, is it Rebecca or Becky? Which one do you prefer? Becky, Rebecca?
Rebecca, if I'm in trouble. Otherwise, Becky, Beck. Right, that's fine.
Lisney, and we made mutual friends recently over the spat of amazing recent podcasts that we've been doing with Camilla Monk, Alex McCarthy, and there's a collective of really bright minds that's come through, and as a result of those podcasts, I'm so grateful for that, because we've had so much amazing content to talk about it. And I keep mentioning this now, and Alex is going to think I'm kind of turning into a bit of a stalker. I'm not, but she's kind of changed my life for the positive, and I love speaking to her on the show.
Very, very stalkable, very followable, isn't she?
I'm sure she appreciates it. Absolutely. I've been having a good time with this, because I'm finding a new pocket of people to speak to in and around Shropshire, and I feel like it's an area that definitely needs sort of discovering, so I'm really grateful for it. And Becky, thank you so much for getting in touch with me. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Where are you? Yeah, so good.
Thanks for having me on. It's lovely. So yeah,
it's good. Where do you hail from originally? Where are you from?
I hail from the north, sir. So I'm from Lancashire originally. I moved down to Shropshire about 8 years ago. But yeah, just completely fell in love. Yeah, I think the towns are lovely, the people are lovely. Shrewsbury especially is just gorgeous, and yeah, the countryside around here is wonderful. I mean, the countryside in Lancashire is, second to none in terms of
It's vast, isn't it? It's vast, and it's nice and up there.
A lot of countryside in the north.
Absolutely, totally. I mean, I feel like I don't know what it is about Shropshire, because it is like, you can't say it's just about the countryside, because like you said, there's places up north, down south that have got amazing, like, long runs of, you can shout for miles and no one will hear you. You go up to the Lake District.
Yeah, the Lake District, and that's it. You don't see anybody for miles and miles. And it is lovely. I think, do you know what it is about Shropshire is that it's so interconnected. So like, I work in Birmingham and I can be there within 40 minutes, but I can also be in Wales in 40 minutes, and it's just this perfect little in-between spot where you've got access to the best of both worlds, really. So yeah, I think that's I agree. Whether you want to go to seaside, whether you want to go to London, Liverpool, whatever. We went to Liverpool with the family last weekend, and we were there in an hour, and it was just great. We just jumped on the train, Bath, we're in Liverpool, and like you said, there's just so much going for us here. And I feel like, as far as like things like the arts and culture in Shropshire, especially in Shrewsbury, I mean, very much Shrewsbury, yeah.
we've been helping the Shropshire Music Awards over the last few weeks. So we were at the after party, and I spoke to so many amazing musicians. So like Telford's kind of got that musical edge. Shrewsbury, I feel, has got that artsy kind of theatre type edge. So there's lots going for it. So yeah, you felt like you've moved here and you wouldn't want to move anywhere else, or you fell in love with the place?
Yeah. So I mean, my specific situation is a bit odd in that, like, I grew up in Lancashire, but my family no longer live there, so they moved down to Cornwall. So there wouldn't be really like a call for me to live anywhere else. So yeah, I think Shropshire's just like my adopted home, where I just found, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is home for me now.
And Cornwall, what a great place to go and visit the family. You know.
Yeah, it's quite the trip at Christmas and stuff. But yeah, again, gorgeous landscapes, just surrounded by them, aren't we? And yeah, it is lovely to get down to the beach, especially when it's not tourist season and you can go sit on a windy, cold, wet beach in Cornwall.
I got a friend down south, and she's always telling me about tourist season and what it's like there at tourist season, and with the house share thing, the timeshare property thing that's going on there. It's kind of all these rich people swallowing up properties that just sit there unused for 8 months of the year. You know,
Cornwall's economy, like their housing economy, is a little bit whack because of that, and the locals are not a big fan, as you can imagine.
Yeah, because you've got these houses sitting there empty. These people aren't putting into the local economy.
Yeah.
I can see why they'd be a bit annoyed.
And then it raises the prices of everywhere else because there's less homes available. So
if you're buying a house in Cornwall, people, bloody use it.
live in it or rent it out like the rest of the year when you're not there, which I think a lot of people do there, you know.
Yeah. So we're here today to talk about architecture and photography as well. I see that you are a qualified landscape architect, right? Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Well, it's actually a protected title. So once I have my master's, and then I can go and do another test, and then I will be a qualified landscape architect. Yeah.
Oh, so you're not allowed to say, it's a bit like being a doctor. You're not quite a doctor. You're not quite a yeah, that kind of.
Yeah. So yes, I do landscape architecture all day, every day. But I have to have somebody else like check the work and stuff still. And I've just written my first LVIA, which is a 40-page document, it's a landscape visual impact assessment. So it's essentially you go to a site and you say what you can see on the site. Yeah.
So you've
for 40 pages.
Oh my god. So is this just a site where you're going to potentially possibly build something, and you've got to look at the landscape and survey it as a visual?
Yeah, so you've got to make, I mean, it is really important. So I know I jest, but it is very important, because otherwise people can build stuff sort of everywhere and anywhere and not consider the views. They might not consider, like other, like how that sits in the landscape, how that's going to impact everything else around it. So landscape's really important because it sits in the middle, and it's like a middle cog between the ecologists and the architects and the engineers, and it really like helps everybody else gather the information and put it out so that clients can understand, and councils and planning officers can understand, and it's very exciting. It's all very sexy.
It is interesting though. What is it you actually build though? Is it like summer houses, or is it like actual gardens, or is it making sure that, I don't know, how does that work? What is it you do?
So yeah, this is where landscape architecture is a bit of an odd one. I know landscape architects that have a degree and a master's, and they're actually going to garden design. Like that's what they like doing. But then on the other scale of it, you've got landscape architects like the firm that I work for, where we don't really do domestic small scale design because there's just not enough money in it. They're the biggest firm in the UK, and they need like huge regional scale projects. So like housing estates. We do a lot of work with solar infrastructure at the moment. So yeah, we're talking like hectares of space.
Wow.
So,
well, I live in a fairly new estate in Sutton Grange. If anybody's listening to this from Sutton Grange, hi. And we have houses, they're finished, but the roads haven't been finished yet. And I guess like things like housing estates and things that take a huge amount of planning to make sure that you can build in those specific areas and it can flow the way it's supposed to and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes years to get through planning, years to get through design, years to get through construction. So it does take an incredibly long time to do that. I think sometimes the trick with it is that you get so many different people coming in at so many different times, and people coming into a job and then leaving the job, and like too many chefs sort of ruin the broth a bit. And that can be what happens in some of the housing estates, is that it's just this iterative process not being like always carried out very seamlessly. So
yeah, in my estate we'll definitely attest for that, because we were just doing trick-or-treating a few days ago, took my little one around, and like, I'm sorry, but I don't mean to be rude, and I'm gonna be rude. I don't care. The paths and the curbs around here, like Beirut, honestly, it's terrible. Like, there were broken up curbs and bits of uneven paths. Like, they need to finish the streets.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's coming. We have to be patient for another maybe 5 years. I don't know, but I just think it's really interesting when people can look at the land and know exactly what they're looking at. And on the flip side, you've got archaeology and architecture. Nigel Baker, we produced some audio tours around Shrewsbury. If you walk around Shrewsbury, guys, and you see like a pinky blue circle with a QR code. There's a few in town. There's one by the train station that leads up to the castle. There's one outside St. Mary's, one on top of the cup. They're everywhere. And a lot of them I did with Nigel Baker, who's one of the most well-known archaeologists. And what he'll do is, if they're going to dig up something, he will go and survey it and make sure that they're not disturbing anything historical or whatever. But he can walk through town and be like, he can look at a flat car park and know exactly what's underneath it by looking at it, because of the years of experience that he's had. And with you, I guess you can look at a field or something and be like, yeah, that's not going to work. This might work over here. I just find that really interesting.
I think archaeologists and certainly heritage officers, like, they're incredibly good at what they do. And we actually had a lady from the heritage department within the company come and give us a talk yesterday, and it was really interesting to hear all the things that she's had to deal with, like listed buildings and getting buildings unlisted, or what to do with a building that was listed but then burnt down, and like all of the complications that they have to deal with. Or knowing just by looking at a field, like, oh, okay, we're going to need to dig some trenches, and these are the best places to dig the trenches. And then sometimes, like, she was telling us a story about, like, the first shovel that hit the ground, they were like, medieval wall. Oh, there it is, we found it.
So what happens in that circumstance then? Can you just, like, you can't build on there, that's it, it sits there, or does it have to be
so it's not my area of expertise, but a lot of the time, like, it depends on the council and what they decide. It depends on the importance of the schedule. So obviously the HS2 is a very controversial topic, and has cut through a lot of different sites of significance. So I think they cut down a 300-year-old oak tree or something.
I did hear about this. It's one of the oldest trees in the UK or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, could you just but just going around like that would cost more millions. So you're like, okay, but then they've planted 3 new, I think, oak trees because they cut down one, and then I think they think that, oh, well, that's good enough. But in terms of, like,
3 6-week-old ones instead.
It's just like the trees don't work like that. No. Like, till they reach a certain maturity, they're not actually going to sequester any more carbon than they'll emit. So it's it's sort of like breathing. It's really interesting when you get into the life of trees. That's perhaps another podcast, though. The life of trees.
That would be great, actually. I'd love that. I love to cover all kind of grounds with the show. We had Extinction Rebellion on a while ago, and I know they're getting a lot of flack for what they're doing, but I wanted to give them a voice. I've got a place where people can talk about what they want to talk about. So I was like, if they want to talk about something, let's let them talk about it. And I don't agree with some of the stuff they're doing and how they're doing it, but at the same time, I agree with why they're doing it. Maybe we should get them on again. That'd be really cool. Anyway, I digress. I was talking to Camilla Monk a few weeks ago, amazing lady, and she saved a derelict house. And there is a building just around the corner from Theatre 7, and it looks like there's a group of really old buildings around it, and it's part of the old quay, I think. And I think it's derelict, but what they're doing is they're building scaffolding inside it, and I think they're trying to save half the building and then modernize the other half. And I just thought that was really, really cool how they're trying to breathe life into this old building by making it new as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's really
Sometimes it's not the most cost-effective thing to do, but it is. I think saving that value is quite it's quite noble, isn't it? I think personally, I think it's quite a wonderful thing to do, and it's quite magical. But big fan of Camilla Monk. We actually did a architecture ventures talk on Tuesday. I'm sure she probably told you about it, but yeah,
I was meant to be there. Yeah, the problem I had with, and I'll apologize on the show, but she's told me not to think more on it. But I was meant to be there, but I work night shifts, and so I'd just done a night shift, and it was a particularly grueling shift, and I was very tired, and I was kind of like barely safe to drive home, if I'm honest. So I would have been no use to anybody. I'd have turned up and just fall asleep in the corner. So I made the choice to go home and sleep. I think it was
with landscape architecture stuff, you'd have been right off. Deepest, most restful sleep.
No, but I things that I find like things that is fascinating. I'd be like, they do what? Oh my god! Yeah, big huge shout out to Camilla. It was one of the best podcasts we've had for a while. Make sure you guys check out Architect Ventures on Instagram. Also, you are you're a person of many talents. You're not just a landscape architect. You're also a photographer as well, right?
Yeah. So I'll be honest, I'm really bad at drawing. So I've been a very creative person my whole life, but it's a struggle when you feel creative but then don't have like the output ability that you want. So I got into photography because it enabled me to capture the world and to capture beautiful things, or kind of like, see it from a different perspective and show it from a different perspective. So I found photography really, really powerful and enabling for me for that reason. And I think I started out when I was like 16, 17, taking pictures of bugs and flowers and stuff.
Very Darwin-esque. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I just this secret little hidden world that we kind of like. If we noticed insects, it's because they're irritating us, or they go by very unnoticed. And I thought, I just found them fascinating. I'm gross a lot of the time, guaranteed, but kind of fascinating because they were like, you celebrate a butterfly for being, a beautiful little creature, and then actually you get up close, and they're like little fuzzy aliens with pretty wings, but like the rest of them's like the tongue and the antenna and the
they are. And you look at some, it's when they're all hairy. I don't know why that's weird to me, but like you look at an ant really close up and they're like really hairy, and you're like, whoa.
But it's only in like weird places, like they're more hairy around their knees and stuff, and you're like, oh.
Well, as a 36-year-old guy,
outside, it's so weird. So that's how I got into it, taking pictures of flowers as well, because again we celebrate flowers, and I hope that this is okay to say, but a flower is a sexual organ. Like that's the the plant's sex parts, and then we give them as gifts to each other, or to say, I'm sorry, here's some plant's sex parts. So I find it just really interesting that our culture and our perspective of flowers is that they are these beautiful, delicate things, and actually it's plants getting a bit horny. And I like taking pictures of them up close because they look weird. Like the colors are vibrant, but then they've got these like stamens and stuff coming out everywhere, and you're like, "Wow, that's so weird." So I got I got into the weird and wonderful.
There's a video that went viral a few weeks ago, maybe earlier in the year, and it was the bee that fell asleep inside the flower. Did you see that? And you woke up and it was like, and then it just flew off.
That's actually one of the things that I do when I'm having a bit of a down day. I literally Google bumblebee bums, because they fall asleep inside flowers and their little legs are poking out of their little bumblebee butt stuck in a flower. It's amazing. Honestly, it's sort of like the corgi butt fetish that we all have as well. Like it's so cute. So
But you know what? This world is quick. It moves by so quickly, and it's really hard to keep up sometimes. So being able to just slow down, not just slow down, but kind of zoom in a little bit, you know. Let's look at this tiny little universe right here, rather than everything else that's around here. It's good that because not everybody can do that. Weirdly, you know.
Yeah, well, it's very easy to get distracted. I think it's very easy to get swept away in the current of climate affairs, or you know, your own personal world of drama, and everyone's, you know, got stuff going on in life, and then we've got things like the news to sweep us away with panic and fear. So I think the ability to just take a minute and pause and think, it's very liberating to feel like, do you know what, none of it really matters in the grand scheme of things. None of it matters. That you might be looking at a bumblebee who's, you know, who dancing around some flowers or something, and pays no attention to you. It just doesn't care. It's in its own world. It will live for about 6 weeks if it's a honeybee or a, you know, and it just gets on with what it needs to do. It has a great time doing it, and then it's sort of. But that's a really liberating feeling, I find. Like
it is. You know, I was around family members last night. My boy had a disco, Halloween disco at Cubs,
nice.
and they had the news on, and I couldn't like walk into the house and be like, "Yo, change the channel. I ain't watching this garbage," you know. But I sat down and like I was just like, what? Like the news makes me so anxious just to see it. He's only on for like 20 minutes, and it's all like, the world's on fire, you're all gonna die. And I'm like, this is terrible. Like this is what they're doing to people, not just daily, but repetitively throughout the day. If you're
throughout the day, that's it. Yeah, because it's not just news at 9. There's news at 8. There's news at 9. There's like a chilled news at 10.
We could put BBC News on. We just watch it all day.
But do you know what? It really does bug me though. Like they'll have the news, and it will be, you know, like some children died in a house fire, or like some poor woman is, you know, ended up on the side of a motorway or something, and her body's been found, and you're like, oh my God. But Arsenal won 3-0.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's going to rain on Tuesday, and Arsenal won 3-0, and that's what you follow up that with? Like, what? I think the way that we deliver information sometimes is so broken, and like it just, like there's no, it's such a dissonance. That's what it is. There's such a disconnect and dissonance.
That's why escapism is so important. It really is, and that's what the Shrewsbury Biscuit is designed to be: something positive and something friendly, and sort of like a welcome into a slice of someone's life. You know, I like that, and you know, we did. I'll play the clip now. I was going to save it to the end, but like this is an example of how I like to stay away from. I spoke to a politician just yesterday, but it will have been released as this goes up. He's a lovely guy. His name's Alex Wagner. He's in Bellevue. He's 20 years old. 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, we were talking about how it shouldn't be such a big deal. It's funny, but that's all I've talked about. But I think he's got a great head on his shoulders. And I wanted to do that thing, you know, when they go on the news and the news anchor will just attack the politicians and they dance around the question. Well, I gave Alex the task. It was a really good sport. I wanted to throw him a subject, and he's got to dance around it. And we had this conversation, and I was just attacking him. And this is how he did. Do you mind if I just play this? It's only a couple of minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is Alex's response to his opinions between Porgs from Star Wars and Baby Yoda as well. So here we go. Here's this clip. It's really fun.
Okay. Hot topics.
No game. Okay. And these are completely hypothetical situations, guys.
No yeses, no nos.
No. Just like, I want to try and get an answer out of you. Don't give me an answer. Just try and fan it away. Right? Okay. The first one is, so we saw a tweet that you tweeted a few days ago saying that you hated Porgs, but you love Baby Yoda. Does that not make you a bit of a hypocrite when it comes to Star Wars and the merchandise they make?
I mean, who couldn't love Baby Yoda? I mean, you know, we all remember seeing that on our Twitter feeds a few.
But surely, I'm going to do it in the style of as they do it on the TV. But surely, if you like Baby Yoda and you're complaining that Porgs are just a way of Disney making money, are they not the same thing? How can you like Baby Yoda?
I've always been absolutely clear about my support for Baby Yoda.
Yes, but you have one, a complete disdain for one thing and one love for another. Surely you should like porgs as much as you like Baby Yoda. That's what I'm saying. I need to say Yoda.
I've always been absolutely clear. I've always, made my views abundantly clear on the issue. I don't see
what is it
where
about
you're
porgs. What is it about porgs? Are you anti-porg? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, Baby Yoda's got some very sort of distinct benefits and positives. I think that's really what we're trying to focus on here. That's kind of our issue. That's what we're taking up.
If Baby Yoda, Grogu, and a group of porgs were in a boxing fight, who would you want to win? Tell me, who would you want to win?
I mean, I don't do hypotheticals.
That was brilliant. I love that. Sorry.
Though, yeah, maybe I'm not cut out for this, Alex. Maybe this isn't the line of work.
You did really well. You did really well. You stood your ground. I was like, are you anti-porg?
Are you anti-porg? Because yes, not anti-porg.
I do like porgs. They're quite cool. I didn't understand the hate at the time. I was kind of like, well, they're fine. And then you see Chewbacca with what looked like a roasted porg above the fire, and you're like,
I remember seeing this at the time. Yeah.
Chewbacca loves porgs. So there we go. I mean, we could talk about these topics all day and just make them a little bit fun. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's what the news needs. The news needs Alex Whiteley. That's what it needs, just to jazz it up a little bit. So.
It does. If only to take the mick, really. Like, you did such a fantastic job. You both did. That was really amusing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Controversial topics as well. Oof.
Yeah. Porgs and Baby Yoda. I mean, they were controversial at the time.
They were. I don't know why, but they really were.
I don't know why either. The Disney trying to make money.
They put them on for the cute factor. Yes.
So when you first pick up a camera and you start taking the pictures of wildlife, what is the reaction to the people around you? Do you get a positive reaction and do you feed off that? Or do you just go out on your own adventure and you don't really care anyway? How does that work?
When I take pictures of wildlife?
Yeah, at the beginning, yeah.
Well, I still do. And the pictures that I take are kind of just for me, because I anticipate that no one is as interested in mushrooms as I am. On account of that's been direct feedback. I'll show my friends, oh my God, look at this mushroom I found. And they're like, yeah.
If it's Paul Stamets on the other end, he might be like, oh my God, that's amazing. He's like the mushroom guy, isn't he? Paul Stamets.
He is, but again, controversial topic. Like, if you're into mushrooms, you're not allowed to like him anymore. And I don't actually know why. And I'm scared.
Mushroom gatekeeping now exists.
I've seen people go like, why does everyone hate Paul Stamets so much? And then they just get absolutely berated online. I'm like, do you know what? I'm not going to ask. And it's not really been important enough for me to go and research as to what he did to get kind of cancelled. But I don't know. I like mushrooms on my terms, but I do get some odd looks, sort of foraging around on the forest floor, I found there's a woods near me, and they have a really good management scheme where they will cut down a tree that does need cutting down, and then they'll leave the tree there, because it's sort of like the whales of the forest. So if you're familiar with David Attenborough's life cycle with the whales, so yes, the whales of the forest, the trees. And as they're rotting down, they attract all kinds of fungus, and it's really cute and fun and weird and alien. So yeah, I like to get in and take some pictures, and you end up doing the splits on a log or something, and getting in there, and you do get people walking by like, is she okay? Shall we call for help? This lady looks like she's escaped from somewhere. No, but
I get those looks when I'm doing my my selfie sort of vlog stuff with my phone. I'm kind of like, hey guys, look! I hate that stuff. It's so cringy. But at least you're.
Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Terrible.
So yeah, I do get some looks, and I've been out on shoots with ladies before who have been less clothed than the usual dog walker, and we get some looks, and usually quite a few giggles as well. And people don't tend to stop; they do tend to move on quite quickly. But it gives everybody a good giggle. Even the lady herself will. I always keep, to be very clear, I keep a robe very close. So we'll have an item of clothing that they can wrap around very quickly if someone does come along. But yeah, I think it's quite liberating actually when it does happen, because then that's the worst case scenario. And once you face the worst case scenario on one of the shoots, and it's absolutely fine, you've got nothing to fear. So yeah, we do get some odd looks.
it's weird, isn't it? How sometimes humiliation can result in liberation. You know, it's kind of like, well, do you know what? I don't care. I've already had somebody, do this to me or react that way, and I don't care. I'm doing what I love, so I'm just going to carry on doing it.
Yeah, it's that recognition that you have all of these fears and anxieties, and actually they're completely irrelevant or ungrounded, and the worst case scenario in this situation, because you still feel like it is a risk, but then you're faced with, this is the worst thing that could possibly happen, is somebody stumbles upon me and I'm in my bra and knickers in a patch of bluebells, and it's happened, and then actually afterwards it's been like, well, do you know what, that was the worst thing that could happen, and it's absolutely fine. So don't know what I was worried about.
For a guy that's got a bit of a gut on him, and by the way, I'm happy with who I am, so don't feel like when I'm not necessarily going to walk out to the car topless, whatever. I live around these people. I don't want to scare them off their breakfast. I'm aware of the effect I may have on people, but ultimately I don't care, right? But when I go abroad on holiday, I'm kind of that first moment where you take your top off and you think, oh my god, people are going to look at you. But that first moment when you realize no one's looking and no one really cares, it's just like, oh, that's a lot better, And then,
and that's it. And I was about to pull you up on that. Like, let's say you went to the car shirtless.
Yeah.
Why is it that you feel anybody cares? You're not going to put them off their breakfast, but why is it that you feel like anybody will care?
I don't know, and this is something that I wanted to bring up, because I feel like there is a lot of focus, good focus on, I know that there is absolutely both men and women need to embrace who they are and what they look like, and there's lots of positive movements on that, and this is why I really was excited to speak to you today, because Lilith, on Instagram, your project, your company here, I love it so much. And I do, and I saw it straight away, and I thought this needs to be spoken about. So guys, while you're listening to this, you can just like nip onto Instagram while you're listening to this. If you listen on your phone, if you're on Spotify, it'll keep it playing in the background. Do it now. It's fine. And type in Lilith, Lilith, onto Instagram and take a look. And this is a collection of photos of women absolutely embracing nature and themselves as human beings, and in a beautiful way. And I think that the whole nature and the body liberation and positivity marries up beautifully in that. So,
well, it's an odd thing to do, to go out into the woods and take clothes off, and just to be clear, like, we don't always take clothes off, so a lot of them are done in nice fancy dresses that make you feel
tasteful as well,
and confident, and like full of life and fun. It's a good excuse to get dressed up, and I think after COVID as well, we all like a good excuse to just to wear something a bit more special than pajamas or stuff to slap around the house in, so the reason that I thought like it would be perfect to do in nature is just because, one, you're happiest when you're surrounded by trees. Like, again, we'll do the Life of Trees podcast another time, but it genuinely does have an impact on your heart rate and your mental health and all of these. But even if you've got your shoes on, just being around trees, like, it makes you feel more relaxed. It releases endorphins. Like, we evolved as a species in trees and around them. Like, they make us feel happy and safe, on a very deep and subconscious level that you like we're just not able to actualize sometimes. But there's nothing more natural than being naked out in the woods. Like, that is the most natural state of man and woman like you could possibly have. And everything else we've built is sort of, it's lovely, don't get me wrong, I like life and the tech and the nice food and stuff, and definitely the warmth of a house, that's fantastic, but the most natural thing you can do is run around the woods naked. And yet that's the weirdest thing at this point in our society that you could possibly do. Like, if that was somebody's hobby, running around the woods naked, you'd be like, well, it's good to have
interest. When you come up with this as a concept, as a thing you were going to do, and I guess you had a circle of friends that you're like, I'm going to do this thing, can you help me out? What was the reaction you got from your friends, family, etc.?
I did tell a couple of family members. I think it made my dad feel a little bit uncomfortable. He was like, "Oh, okay." I wasn't quite sure on what to say to that. And I think at the time as well, initially I'd started it more as a hobby. To be honest, I'd started it more of just a personal journey. Like I've hated my body like a really long time, and I'd had children and then looked back at pictures where I was 18 or 20 and hadn't had children, and thought, "Oh, I was gorgeous. What was I complaining about? Like what? Why did I feel fat?" I mean, I remember feeling fat from the age of about 11,
Yeah,
and I wasn't.
I felt the same.
Like, yeah, I was actually like underweight for a significant part of my childhood, not because of anything, but just because that was the national average. And I was, my mum used to call me a skinny malinky long legs with umbrella feet, and I was like, thanks. Great. So yeah, I think I've always felt very, very self-conscious, and I'm not alone in that. Like, there's so many women that there's just this focus on you being a valuable person because of what you look like, and you have to have, it's such a fine line between having big boobs but not too big, because otherwise, if just by having big boobs you're therefore over sexualized, and then you want a nice bum as well, but not too big because you want a thigh gap, but also big enough that someone else wants like to have it, but also a thin waist, and then also like a really long, like I don't know, Jane Eyre long neck, you know what I mean, and like a lovely little clavicle, but massive. But you just can't have it all. There's no. If you described all of our ideal parts to a body and then put them all together, they'd look insane. Like, they'd look like an alien. And
I'm a huge fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, one of my favorite shows of all time.
nice.
And one of the characters on there, the actors, they create these people that are just not real. They're just horrible people that often get into funny situations. And Dennis is one of the guys that he's a narcissistic sociopath who has this really disgusting image of what women should be. And I remember there's an episode where he's drawing a woman, and it's completely unrealistic, like tiny waist, massive boobs, huge ass, long blonde hair, all those kind of thing. And everybody's kind of like, what is this image that's going inside your head? It's just insane, isn't it? What people think.
Like, what body type is that? Like, it's completely unrealistic. And then it honestly devastates me to see women not have the tools that they need to be able to feel happy about who they are, and it's never going to be good enough. And this is the message that I try and get out, is that you are good enough as you are, and if you don't learn to accept that on an intrinsic level, like that's a decision you need to make on the inside, because you can't validate that outside. Like, everyone else has got the perfect hair color, the perfect eye or skin color. Everybody else has got the right size boobs other than you. Or, I wish my legs were longer. I wish you could go on for forever. Oh, my nose isn't exactly perfect. And, if I could just have this thing, it's never going to be good enough until you decide.
I've got to tell you, there's a very, very small margin of guys out there that think that way. Most guys appreciate women for the real looks, and I'm telling you this as a guy who knows other guys, that there's a lot of us that we like, and it's not even for that. You women, the way you look, are not to please us and our eyes. Don't put me. I'm not gonna.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. If your body is aesthetically pleasing to somebody, great. Good for you. Like, not even good for you. Good for them that they like looking at you. Fantastic. But it doesn't, like, that's not your point to being alive. And I think that this is very much echoes of the past of women essentially being kind of like cattle. Like, you are only valuable to me for what you look like, and in making sure that I can have children. And the problem, we don't live in that society anymore. I was going to say the problem is that's not a problem. We don't live in that in that society currently in our country. There are places in the world that still do, and it's go on. Sorry.
I agreed. I said, of course, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We still have so many of this rhetoric that you know, like to be the perfect woman, to be the best version of yourself, to be, you know, you have to be desirable. Why?
You don't. Yeah, you just got to be.
No, you got to be you. If somebody finds you desirable, that's not in your control. Like, you could be, I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow, right? Some people find her sexually attractive, some people don't.
She kind of reminds me of Big Bird a little bit.
You see what I mean, though? Like, some people, she'd be the fittest human being on the planet. Beyonce, I mean, another gorgeous woman. But some people are like, nah, not my bag. You can't play. So if Beyonce isn't good enough for some people, how are you going to expect everybody that you meet to find you attractive? Yeah. If somebody who's built their career on not just their looks, but a lot of it is on looks, is, you know, it's an unwinnable battle. So don't fight. Is my point again.
I find the I don't know, chemistry and how sort of the minds sort of meet up, and that for me is really important. And in a day to day, and I'm not like I'm happily married guy. I love my wife to bits. She's a goddess to me, right? But when I'm going out and I'm meeting people, and you know, especially like this, you know, this kind of thing. If we're gelling really well, that to me is such an attractive thing in a professional way. You know, I feel like you know, because I feel like this is going really well. Yesterday, me and Alex, that went really well. The Alex McCarthy thing was amazing. I was a bit of a train wreck halfway through that because I was kind of like, oh my god, this one's amazing. Like, what? But you can hear there's a moment when my mind snaps, and that's because Alex was just like, oh. But like, I feel like there is something really nice about being able to confidently breeze around your day, get the job done in a calm and relaxing manner. And I feel like that's all about confidence, right? It's got to be self-confidence, feeling right in the right person within the right situation.
Yeah, I think, I mean, well, what is confidence? That's the thing. And I think a lot of us spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, well, what is confidence? And a lot of the time it's just fake it till you make it. Just fake it till you make it. Everyone's making it up. And I think for me, confidence comes from doing. Confidence is a byproduct of doing something that you know what, you might not feel qualified to do. You might feel like you have a conversation with somebody like Alex and they're completely like, what? You're like, I don't know what to say to that because I'm not prepared enough. I'm not on this level, and whatever it is, you know, like you go to work, I'm not qualified enough. I'm whatever it is, just do it. Try your best. You know what? You might not succeed. That's fine. Like, you can try again. No one's going to stop you trying again. And it's just the confidence comes as a byproduct from doing something that you feel scared of. You got to be brave, and then the confidence is your reward afterwards. Like, it's not this tool that you need to do something. I think that's where we get caught up. Like, I get women telling me all the time, I'd love to do a shoot with you. They look amazing. I would love to, but I just don't have the confidence. I don't know how you have the confidence. I'm like, first off, I don't. I get nervous. I get anxious every time I do a shoot, and like for myself, so that I'm firstly not asking women to do something I'm not prepared to do myself. I feel like that would be deeply hypocritical. But also it's, you know, it's good content, and I can show women like, look, this is a real body. I've had children. I have like curves, and there's one picture I posted of me, and it fills me with anxiety doing it because I'm like, my body's not perfect. I still have that rhetoric in my head that I fight. And I think it's like there's this picture you can see, and you can sort of see some of my back fat, but it's from the front. Oh my God. You can see the fat on my back from the front. That's insane. Like, oh God. Okay, do you know what? No, we're not listening to that voice. We're going to post it. We're going to post it anyway. And do you know what? Immediate fear got like over, done. What's the worst thing that's going to happen is someone's going, no one even notices. I noticed. Nobody else notices. Let's see it.
It must be like an instant a recharge of compassion, if that makes sense. You know, you're going through this liberating experience yourself. You realize the benefits, so you know that your client's going to enjoy the same experience. You know, somebody's going to have a shoot with you go away and be like, oh my God, that's amazing. I've never, and you know, that the body image is something that I do deal with an awful lot. You know, I'm a guy, I've got a gut on me, and I see pictures of me in the press, especially I did a thing at the museum. It was drawn with Cherie Gerard, amazing. And there's lots of pictures of me interviewing people and being around, and there's one like there'll be like a side shot where my gut's just kind of like, ugh. But like even then I'm kind of like, do you know what, I don't care, because I was enjoying myself. I made a good product and I made people feel happy, so I don't care. And me, I'm chatting with.
Here's the question for you.
Okay.
Is it more important? What's more important to you, how something looks or how something feels?
Oh, how something feels, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I think we get so caught up with how things look sometimes, but it's how something feels at the time, how something makes you feel. Like that's what's important. And it's even when you look at a picture, it's not what that picture looks like, it's how that picture makes you feel at the time you're looking at it. So I always encourage that with ladies, is to get caught up on, well, what dress should I wear? What underwear should I bring? And I'm like, well, what do you feel good in? Bring what you and it sounds really simple. Bring what you feel good in. Bring what you want to wear. It's not about how, like, and I think this is how a lot of photographers work, is sometimes that they have an image in mind that they want to capture, and they want to go to this specific location, or they'll stay in this studio, and these are the lights they'll use, and this is their look and their brand. And I think that's a fine way of working, but the way that I work is, I mean, outdoors you're going to get different looks regardless, because the light settings are different and the canopy cover's different. So I understand that there are going to be differences in the images that I produce. It's not all going to be one sort of flavour, but I quite
the golden
like that.
glow of summer. It's not always going to be like that. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's going to be differences in the shoots, and I think that's important, and it's that's the point, is that they all do look a little bit different. So it's not about recreating stuff for me. It's about coming into that moment at the shoot, making sure that you feel happy and you feel comfortable. And honestly, like, more than that, like, I want at the end for you to feel like a goddess. Like, it's the most incredible and most powerful thing that you have done, hopefully that day, that week, potentially ever. And then walk away with that gorgeous feeling of, do you know what? I have nothing to worry about, and I could take on the world because I ran around the woods naked for an hour. I forgot the original point to that, but
that's the best thing about these podcasts. We can go. It's fine though. And
I don't remember. Yeah, it's about how things feel, and capturing the original essence of that moment. And the person that I'm capturing, it's not about what dress you bring. It's not about make sure you do this pose because this is my favorite pose to have people. And it's about what feels comfortable for you and what do you want to do.
Is there any sort of like key phrases or key sort of scenarios you may build up in a client's head to get them there, to sort of empower them? Because I guess you got to be. Maybe there's a situation, say, all right, you are a powerful woman. You're Wonder Woman. You know, you're a goddess. Let's go. Is there something you say to your clients?
So I don't know if it's very consistent, but I do say things like, because I want to take pictures of women where they look powerful. If they look sexy and someone finds them sexy, then that's great. But for me, it's not about taking sexy pictures of women. It's about power. It is really about confidence and that. And like, that is sexy as a byproduct, but I find that a lot of photography, especially like gym photography or something, it can be quite either the women are looking very assertive and dominant, and that's great, or they are very submissive sexual in their posing. And I try to make sure that the pictures that I take are never women looking pretty and, you know, like, oh my goodness, like, submissively. I think, again,
there was a gym chain recently, I've forgotten the name, and they definitely deserve a shout out, so I feel bad for forgetting their name, but they were using, and I use this term just so people understand, not in a nasty way at all, but they're using just average normal people in their press campaigns. And like, you know, there's this older guy with a gut on a thing, and I'm like, yes, go man. And a girl, she just looks like your normal girl. And I was just like, yeah. And she, like, this is one of the things I wanted to bring up. We've only got 10 minutes left, which but like body shaming, right, on social media. If I catch any of my friends or family body shaming anybody on social media, I will remove you off my Facebook. I hate that so much. You have no right going into someone's head and destroying them that way. Like we mentioned earlier in the podcast, like nobody's body is there specifically just to please you aesthetically. That's not how life is.
And likewise, it's not there to offend you either. Like,
no.
Somebody can just exist and you cannot take offense at that. It's pretty simple. You know what I mean? I
wrote to the gym company and I said, well done, you know, because I thought it deserved recognition. But the comments on those campaigns were just horrible. So I hate that sort of stuff. And you know, I was going to mention about, you know, the Instagram era we sort of live in right now, but I guess, like, yes, it's magnified at the moment. Instagram, and everyone on Instagram tends to be perfect, you know. And you know what? I do post my best moments of the day on Instagram. It's kind of just naturally. I'm like, I was really pleased about this. This is how it looked, you know. But I feel like we've always had that. The Stepford Wife thing, you know, back in the day, the old car magazines, and you know, some of the most grotesque adverts come from like the 50s and 60s where women are just objectified. So we've always had that. It's always been a thing.
100%. Yeah. I think the sad thing about body shaming is that it's such a projection of yourself. It's like nobody feels completely confident and happy about themselves and feels the need to shame anybody else. Like, that's in the history of humanity, it's just never happened. Like, if you're taking to needing to insult somebody, to need to comment on somebody else's behavior or body, it's because you have this very deep sense of self-loathing at some level. Like, it's complete projection. I don't feel good enough about me, and therefore I need to raise myself above in some way. And it is awful that it comes out in such a very damaging and negative way, that it can be like mocking or berating.
But this is why we need people like you to offer a space where people can go and feel powerful. And this is why as soon as you message, because like you messaged me a week or two ago and you sent me the link from Instagram, and like as soon as I clicked it and saw it, I was like, yes yes, we need to get you on the show right away, because I do feel like there's a picture I really like, and it's actually on your website, on your contact us, it's in the gallery as well, and it's a blonde lady lying in a bed of bluebells in a pink dress, and she just looks it's more the fact that she looks so happy and relaxed. I love that. So and she's glowing as well.
About Lilith. She is she's a gorgeous lady. She does a lot of pageantry, and I think she's a PT as well, actually. I think, if I'm not wrong, she won the Face of Britain, which was really cool. I know. I'm like, of course you did. Why wouldn't you win the best face in Britain? That's quite an award. So I felt very grateful
that best voice of Britain. Hi guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think I could. I'd win the best back fat. Like, sit from the front.
Oh, you would for sure.
Yeah.
Own it, girl.
So she would not and could not stop smiling that whole shoot. It was really, really wonderful and really, really powerful. And she'd because she's done pageant circuits, she's actually done quite a few shoots. And most of the photographers have been male, and most of the photographers have been very direct in what they'd like her to do on a shoot. And she's she's a woman of God, and she doesn't feel very comfortable to do a lot of those things. And bless her, she turned around to me in the middle of a shoot and she was like, Becky, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. And she was almost in tears, but I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She was like, I just don't feel comfortable enough to get to do the naked ones. And I was like, that's okay. Please don't feel like I want you to be happy. I don't need you to be naked. I need you to be happy. And
you get naked now, lady. You get naked now.
Honestly, bless her. Like, she sat there worrying, like, oh no, Becky's going to be so disappointed, and I'm not naked. I don't need you to be naked. I need you to be happy. I need you to be you.
That picture there, I'm conscious. Can I share that on screen? Would you mind if I shared it? I don't know. It's
sure, go ahead.
But,
yeah.
They've moved the button. Present share screen. This one here. Here we go. Let me share it. Look, there we go. Boff. That's the picture.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
You see that one? Yeah, that's the picture I like. I think just because if you guys are just listening to the podcast, this is going to go on YouTube too, so you can check it out. But yeah, just the way she's glowing and smiling and just feels so the confidence oozes off her there. So that's really good.
Yeah, it does. I think it's quite difficult to take sometimes pictures of what we consider culturally as a more attractive woman, and I had this crop up with another woman. I started doing group shoots as well, and it was an oversight on my part actually, because I, in my own rhetoric, think people have still like a better body in some way than me, and it's a difficult one to get completely out of your head. As body positive as you can be, you're not perfect. You're still a human, so it can be quite difficult to take pictures and get feedback sometimes from women like Lish, who are absolutely stunning, and then you think, well, what could you possibly hate? And it's been really an enlightening journey to recognize that no matter how beautiful you think someone is, that's not their reality, and that's not what they see. So regardless of what size you are, what weight you are, like what color your hair is, what color your skin is, nothing is ever going to be good enough until, again, you decide it is. But it's recognizing that everyone is entitled to feel that the way that they do about their own body, and recognizing that I'm doing the same thing by projecting my views onto another woman. So yeah, it has been a really good learning journey for myself and for people around me. I
would definitely encourage doing something like this if you are struggling with confidence issues. And I was going to flip it as well and say, like, if you're ever looking at Alex Whiteley, you're thinking, oh my God, he's got a right butt on him. I think I'm fabulous, all right? So I don't care what you think.
You are fabulous.
Yeah. I come in, I rock it, and I walk out. Biscuit guy, you did it.
Beauty standards change so much, and they flip-flop back and forth between what is the ideal woman and the ideal man. And I think, if you go back in time even slightly, you can see that the body types changed so much and so quickly. And it's, to be honest, the ideal body type is more closely linked to how wealthy you are than it is to things like survival or, you know what I mean? Like actual things that might matter and might on a biological level drive you to fancy somebody. It's got a lot more to do with wealth nowadays than it ever has, which is really interesting.
It's really good insight, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I threw a thing on Facebook before we did this, and I put, like, I'm doing an interview and we're talking about body positivity. Has anybody got any comments on it? And Gareth Thomas, who is we work with Rocking Horse Media, he put that during the pandemic, he put videos of him shaving his head. And Chris Shirk, a good friend of ours as well, said shaving my head recently was actually really good for my mental health, because I was getting super insecure about my thinning hair. I look years younger without none at all. And there was also a comment here from Rich Carter, one of our listeners in Australia, very good friend of ours, and he shaved it. I was shocked to see this picture of him with a bald head, because last time I saw him he had a full head of hair. Hair is a serious issue for guys. Rich, you look amazing, by the way, and I'm a follically challenged fella myself, and I know the struggle these guys are going through.
Follically challenged. Fantastic.
But again, I wear hats because I love hats, right? But it's nothing to do with my hair. Actually, do you know what? That's a lie. If my hair's growing a little bit longer and you can see where the hairline and stuff, I don't like that. But that's because I like to look tidy. I like to look groomed. But I feel like embracing that. Who cares what people think? There are certain issues, especially in America, that people come up with. One is height. I can't believe that men get berated because of how tall they are. How can someone be taller? Like, how can someone be like, yeah, I'll work on how tall I am. Thanks for bringing that up. Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
And
no, that's a huge thing. Like, there's I've been on the dating scene in the past couple of months, and that's one of the big questions. Like, and I didn't understand why people were asking me how tall I was for a long time. And I could see on men's bios on these dating programs that it was like 6 foot, don't worry, or not putting their height up at all. But that generally happens to be men that are shorter than 6 foot. And you can kind of tell how tall someone's going to be, like from the pictures, from the scale and stuff. So I'm like,
they can barely get their chin in. They're like this. Yeah.
It's honestly like it's never really been a big deal for me. So it was quite a shock to see that it is actually a big deal for some women. They'd put on like their bios, like it's you have to be 6 foot to get on this ride or something. And I'm like, oh, that's not healthy. Like, first off, are we all right?
It's just a very strange concept to me. As a guy who's been married for nearly 10 years, like I haven't been in a dating scene for a very long time, and I don't think I would cope this day and age because
it's not a fun place to be. No. So I was married for 5 years. We were together for 8, and I think between COVID and kids and stuff, things just sort of they just weren't working out. So we both went on the dating scene earlier this year. And so it's been a very odd experience because I've never used a dating app before ever.
Does that make you appreciate Lilith more than now than when you first started doing it as an empowerment tool?
Because it's not, I guess, because I've gone dating. I don't think that they're linked. Yeah,
I guess when you're dating and you, especially when you put what I don't know how these are, but when you put pictures of yourself on these apps, you are opening yourself up to people to look at you and judge you by your looks.
Yes,
I've realized we're running short on time. I'm sorry, I'll try and wrap this up quickly.
No, that's okay. Don't worry.
I guess like because now you're dating and you're putting yourself through that Lilith and what you do with the photography, it kind of it gives you a superpower. I guess I think you mentioned that on the website as well as a superpower. Being able to feel that confidence and I look great. I'm going to own this. Sorry, I swore.
Yeah,
I have to beat that out. You get what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? When you're now dating, you can be like, no, it's fine. I don't care what you think. How's that?
Yeah, I suppose like there have been moments where people have messaged and it's been abusive, and I guess it's been sort of water off a duck's back because it hasn't bothered me in the slightest. So there are unfortunately always going to be people that will if they don't get what they want from you, and they're going to be mean about it. And so I think that.
Absolutely. Pardon? I said heathens.
Heathens, yeah. Well, I was thinking of this one specific guy that messaged and said that he loved my bum, and I was like, okay, great. And then when I wasn't interested in hooking up, which I'm not. Like that should just be like, what do you want? I want this. What do you want? I want this. And if it aligns, great. If it doesn't, no bother. But he turned a bit abusive and was like. Then he started calling my ass fat and stuff, and I was like, "Well, I thought you swiped for that." Like,
I think when you realise that, when you realise that the world is full of idiots, I think it makes it easier to sort of get by. I mean, I was looking at this story the other day that because Kanye West or Ye is losing a lot of his endorsements because of his behaviour. That there's a group of his fans they're doing a Kickstarter. Or a fundraising campaign to try and make him a billionaire still.
Right.
And I'm like, when you've got people like that are just a little bit, you're kind of like, I don't understand this at all. When you realize there are lots of people like that out there, it just makes it easy.
Well, they did the same for, I think it was Kylie Jenner. And then she posted that she was like the youngest self-made female billionaire ever. And you're like, if you took crowdfunding from...
Not self-made.
No, not self-made.
That's how it works.
And if your dad's rich, you're not self-made.
Yeah. Oh man, do you know what? I've enjoyed this so much chatting with you. I feel like we could do our own spin-off podcast. We should do it. I loved it. It's
Honestly,
been
like
fantastic.
I'm down to do that. So I want to do a Lilith podcast next year. So I've started planning some episodes for that, which will be completely centered around body positivity. And I mean, there's so many different avenues to go down in that like self-love world. There's so many different things it affects, because your view of self and how you cope with the world is an internal thing that affects everything else externally around it. Like it's the middle piece puzzle, and you can't then not have things ripple effect. So
I think that would be amazing. And I know I said I'll help you out. Absolutely. I'm well up for helping you out with that. And I'm speaking to Aaron Child at the moment, from Highly Flammable and My Painted Life. Amazing guy.
So, go on, sorry, I'll let you finish, but then we'll come back on to Aaron, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We're talking about possibly running some workshops for podcasters. And he's like, "Well, you're the guy. You're the biscuit guy." I'm like, "Okay, all right, fair enough." So I'm writing.
I've got you saved as that on my phone. I love that. Yeah, you're the biscuit guy. Got it. Yep.
I'm the biscuit guy. I said I'd write a few things, and one of the things I was thinking about last night, I struggled to go to sleep because I had all these ideas running through my head. And I was like, I'd like to start off with some sort of thing about, some of the biggest audio producers in the world. You got like Kevin Smith and Chris Moyles, one of the biggest DJs in the world, and Alex Whiteley. The three things we've got in common, but we're kind of fugly. I don't care. It doesn't matter what you look like. Doesn't matter what you look like.
You've got a face for radio.
Face for radio. But it doesn't matter, because I make good stuff, and I know I make good stuff. So there's hope for everybody. So that's kind of like what I'm looking at.
Anything to you, I think you've got a face for TV, so don't worry.
Oh, bless you. Well, can you tell my listeners where they can follow what you're up to, especially the Instagram? It's amazing. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have an Instagram. That's probably the best place. It's the place I'm most active. I do have a Facebook page, but I don't know, my Facebook app just doesn't give me notifications properly, so I'm a little bit slower to respond on there. So yeah, you just want to follow Lilith_body positivity on Instagram, and from there I've got a link tree. You can connect to me on Facebook or my website, and you can also buy tickets to a gallery that I'm going to be doing with Aaron Child at Highly Flammable Studios. I know. So it's like, oh yeah. So his girlfriend's name escapes, but they are both. They're both just absolutely gorgeous. Went to see the space, and just do you know what? It was less about the space and more about them. I just completely fell in love with like their energy and what they were trying to achieve, and wanted to support them as much as they can, like help me by finding a venue to host a gallery. So imagine movie style gallery, like fancy dresses and cocktails, and I'm going to make like little I don't know, this is how fancy it is. It's fancier than I am. I'm like little hors d'oeuvres and things, like I don't even know what they're called. Are they entrees or are they hors d'oeuvres? I don't know, like tiny
little
food.
nibbles. That's what we called them. Used to call them like, we're going to nibbles.
Yeah. Pointlessly small food. I just like, because it's fancy and because it's funny. And then we're going to have the ability to actually take pictures there. So everyone that buys a ticket will get a free picture of yourself draped, sexily across a chaise lounge or something in your fancy dress. So it's going to be a great night, and it's to celebrate Lilith being 1 year in the making. From February is when I started the business. So it's going to be like a wild night. So please do buy a ticket, come along, because it's going to be great to have people there.
Wonderful.
Obviously, it's not a huge space.
The date of that again?
That's February the 11th. Thank you. I just said February, didn't I? Just wait outside Highly Flammable Studios for the whole month.
All of February. We'll let you in eventually.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then it's funny, actually. I think you've got the same sort of like, I don't know, ADHD brain that I've got. It's sort of like 2:00 in the morning. You're like, I need to do something.
It drives me crazy. It's just a curse.
It's a curse, but it's also a blessing, because you're like, okay, the other night I couldn't sleep it, and I was sleeping over at my friend's house, and like I couldn't wake her up and like, do you want to chat? It's 2 a.m. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to write a book. So I started planning a book that I'm hoping that will come out next year in September. And it's piecing that ability to be able to love yourself and have a relationship with yourself. Because do you know what, you are going to be in lots of different relationships in your life, and I don't mean just like, you know, a sexual relationship. I mean friends and family, and those relationships are going to come and go, and they'll change. Like the relationship you have with your wife now isn't the one that you had, you know, 10 years ago. It's a different relationship. You're different people. But the relationship that you have with yourself is guaranteed the only one that you have the whole life. Like you have to wake up with you every day. You are the one that, like, you're the one that's there in your hard moments. You're the one that's there to support your major successes, and you know, be the proudest of you that you can be. Like that's the most integral and important relationship you'll have, and that's the one of the only ones that we never really talk about. We never really get coached on how to have that. So I want to write a book on, again, not qualified to, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to write a book on how to have that relationship with yourself. Well, and
you know what, you're very much welcome to come on the show and talk about it when you do. I always explain like the Shrewsbury Biscuit as an opportunity to walk around inside somebody else's head, and your head is an amazing place to be. You're working on this thing, you've got this thing, you're a landscape architect nearly, and you've got these things going on. You want to write a book. Like, thank you so much for letting me take a holiday inside your head today, and I hope the listeners agree as well. It's an amazing place.
It's definitely a city break, isn't it? It's not a relaxing holiday. It's ding 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 ding. Yeah,
love it.
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been wonderful to talk to you and chat, and
it's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll help you with the podcast when we can. Guys, I want to give a shout out. There was something I saw. Oh God, we got time to do this. The Bird Box coffee. The reason I want to bring this up is there's a little tiny space at the bottom of the market hall in Shrewsbury, and it's opposite the Loopy Shrew, and it's this tiny little space, and there's like vendors and like a little arcade machine and stuff in there, and there's just this tiny little space. And I just thought, I wonder what they could do with that. That was a bit more thing. And what they've done at the what's it called? The Bird's Nest up in the market hall. They've taken it down and they've created the Bird Box. It's a tiny little thing where you can go and grab a coffee on the go. And I think that's really amazing. I just think that deserves a shout out for the creativity, because I've always wondered what they could do in that tiny space. So well done. Yeah, good.
Sometimes your biggest constraints are your biggest opportunities, I find. So yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Well, Becky, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for joining me, and my listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate every single one of you. The show has just exploded over the last few weeks, which has been amazing. But it's been like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's more and more people coming up to me and saying hello, recognizing me from the show. The listenership has gone up like about 300%. And it's just
congratulations. Like,
thank you.
Good.
But what I've had to do is I've had to leave. I'm not doing the radio anymore. I've had to cancel Inglorious Barstools, another podcast I do. I was working with In Tune Radio, a local thing, which I can't do anymore because there's a lot of work that goes into that. So my focus is solely on the biscuit right now. So there's lots of good things coming, guys. So thank you. Keep up the support, and it will be paid off in dividends. Right, we better go because we've run way over.
No, thank you. You're only keeping me from work. It's fine.
Amazing. Well, stay behind after the outro, and I'll say goodbye to you properly. But thank you so much for joining me, Becky. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
Bye.